So, Falcon and I were playing some games this morning, had some really good ones that will go up on the channel soon, but in one of the battles he had the new Lore of Hashut spell, Flames of Azgorh, which is this volcanic eruption from the earth, like a reverse bombardment that bubbles up from the ground. We've seen it delete blobs of infantry and cav, and I'd argue that's its intended role, but it has a powerful little secret that, at least for the moment, may change how it's used moving forward. Essentially, I had a goon squad of characters beating up on his lord, and if I killed his lord, it was game over, I was gonna win. So in Falcon's desperation, he pulled a Mel Gibson in We Were Soldiers, and unleashed the call sign, Broken Arrow. I say again, Broken Arrow, danger close. Call in artillery support directly on my position. What we saw was not what we were expecting, but it won him the game, because it was basically an AoE, souped up Spirit Leech that nuked my characters out of existence. Now, this isn't exactly new for bombardments. We know that piercing bolts of burning, for example, can wreck something like a Dread Saurian, but never have we seen a faction with this many ways to stack flame weakness before, and with the Vial of Hashut, things get pretty nutty. So the basic idea is hit your target with a flare pistol from a Demon Smith or Sorcerer Prophet to imbue them with 20% flame weakness, then hit them with the Vial of Hashut for an extra 60% weakness and minus 40 armor. That's 80% flame weakness, that'll make anything pretty sad. Charge them into melee to pin them in place, then overcast Flames of Azgorh, which is a hefty 26 winds of magic, directly beneath their feet. The results are downright hilarious. Durthu gets deleted. I think we were expecting that, he's a tree, but what about Nakari, or Kolek, or any other number of big characters in Warhammer 3? I've seen this combo do upwards of 6,000 damage and straight up one-shot lords from full HP. And while I wouldn't necessarily recommend this because it's kind of an all-in strat, and if you miss, you just wasted most of your winds of magic pool, there will be some real practical application for this too. For example, you can bring Zatan the Black as your lord for his net to ensure they cannot dodge it, then hit him without the vial or even the overcast, just the base version. Sure, it won't do quite as much damage, but it's still a hefty burst against something important without too much setup required. Now, ideally, you want to do this in a situation where their lord or hero is in a fight with your own characters, where they're focused on killing them and putting a lot of stuff into the meat grinder to surround and finish them off. It's a similar idea to Final Transmutation or Soul Stealer, where you want as many high-value targets caught in the AoE as you can, so that whatever extra eruption bubbles miss the lord end up hitting infantry or something else that's also in there grinding it out. But on the big lords like Kolek or Great Unclean Ones, they will tank the majority of the blast, the majority of the eruption, and in the right situation, it can completely change the outcome of fights. So not only is it a great wave clear spell that will delete elite infantry or blobs, swarms, whatever's coming in to fight, but it can also really hurt those single entities that are grinding it out too. To be clear, it is dodgeable when the net isn't involved, but there is not a lot of time to get out of the way. You have maybe about 5 seconds from the time it's cast to the time it's erupting, which means you need to not be pinned down by mass, not be stuck in animations or getting staggered, or you might be in big trouble. Now, I have no idea if this part of the spell is intended or not. I think it's funny. I mean, it's actually downright hilarious, but I'm not advocating for any changes at the moment. I'm not sure that Vial of Hashut with the 60% flame weakness is going to make it in its current form into the final game. Again, I've not said anything to the devs about it. I'm just not sure that they're going to keep it the way it is. But even if it does see some changes before launch, or if they hotfix it later on, I do like the idea of setups like this one where players have to actively combine their synergies together to get the most out of their kit. And it's something I'd like to see more of moving forward, even if the values don't remain the same. One more little point I do want to make before we bounce is that only on the big hitbox characters like Kolek Suneater or Durthu are they going to tank the majority of the blast. What we noticed was when there's a bunch of foot characters or on horseback characters, they obviously have a much smaller profile, and so that eruption's able to get out of the ground and those bubbles will hit more things away from the initial blast. Which means if you have a small goon squad on small horsies, none of them will get nuked to oblivion necessarily, but the result will be very similar to old Final Transmutation, where multiple characters are losing between 800 and 2000 HP. So if you see a bombardment ability being lined up in a melee situation against the Dawi Zar, get your ass moving immediately, or you may just find yourself Pompeyed.